Welcome.
Hello and welcome to the OzLoL podcast, episode 79. My name's Carrot Colossus. I am host of the show, and we've got lots to talk about this week with OPL Week 5 Part 2 and Patch 5.5 Part 2. So we're carrying on a lot of our discussion from last week, which actually hasn't been put out yet. Actually, I want to start off by apologising. We've had some issues with our producer and, you know, with him editing the show, and, you know, I've been a bit disorganised, so I just want to say straight up that I'm working towards being more reliable, so we, you know, releasing on Friday every week instead of releasing whenever the hell it happens, which is kind of what's been the status quo. So, anyway, just want to let you know straight up.
Pass, so we can't take that statement as a reliable statement.
Thanks, Steve.
I'll get you back. I just want to clarify for all those who might have accidentally mistaken you as reliable.
Yeah. Speaking of selling people out. That was Stephen Garstone.
It was very Mott Ganorum of you.
Yeah.
Segue something completely out of context, I agree.
Am I on the right podcast? I don't think I am.
No, this is not Smite, friend. This is not Smite. That was the dulcet tones of Scott Rinconius. Or Rinconius Rinkett, I guess.
Yeah, something like that.
And we've got Victor Bradley with a mesmerising hat. You need to... There we go. Whee. Mesmerising. Okay.
Do your little turn on the catwalk.
Now, if everyone goes ahead and gives me all of their money, I can get a 1080p camera, and that won't happen.
Don't deprive yourself of the illusion.
We need to get people microphones first, really. You should actually donate to us. Anyway, we are part of the Trinity Force Network.
Donations.
Speaking of donations, you should go to our website, OzLoL.TrinityForcePodcast.com, and donate to us, because we're always wanting to expand the show, get people better microphones, get people better webcams, and to basically improve the quality of the show. So to do that requires money, and if you love the show and you love, you want to see us do a better job,
Jesus,
give us money. Wow, that was a lot of RP cards.
That was, yeah. Have you just like been?
Is that an offer? Is that enough for you to hand them out, Steve? Are you saying that you're going to give some away?
No, all of those barcodes are well and truly scratched, my friend.
Damn it! I'm no longer friends with you, Steve.
I don't know why you
This
just
is
held them
from
up there.
ages ago. I just kept them.
Okay.
I have a call incoming from
Well
my
and truly
fiance.
spent.
I'll be back in a few seconds. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right.
Before I cleaned out my room, I had this big stack of them. And I used to show off, and I had skin codes just all over the place. I used to have this big stack of 6 skin codes that I'd give out every time we had a show. I remember when I was a nice guy.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, someone...
Yeah, unfortunately that nice guy's not here anymore. We've got you instead. Thanks. Wow. The BM is real.
Speaking of nice guys.
Yeah, speaking of nice guys, you should check out the Four Wards podcast. Hey, check out that segue. Brand new part of the Trinity Force Network. So they are essentially the podcast version of Journey to 30, which we've mentioned previously. Essentially, it's pitched at newer players and with more of the basics, and the Trinity Force proper is going to be becoming more of sort of pitching it at an advanced level. So you should make sure you check out Four Wards, which I think is fourwards.trinityforcepodcast.com. That's their current website. And they will be on the main page of trinityforcepodcast.com soon. TM.
Will they?
They will. Well, we're actually moving towards a brand new website. Well, when I say we, I mean Adam, the host, Protophobia, the host of the Trinity Force podcast, working towards a new website. Also working towards a Patreon account. So we are, instead of just us bugging you about donating, if you don't know what Patreon is essentially you can contribute a monthly amount, and depending how much you give, gives you access to exclusive
It can be as little or as large as you like.
Indeed.
Pay what you want.
I really thought you were going to say little or as large as $20 a month.
It can be as little or as large as $20 a month.
Yeah.
Everybody
has to pay $20 now.
The sky's the limit.
Yeah. $2 billion. No. So yeah, anyway, TrinityForcePodcast.com is the main website and you should be able to find forwards there. I'm actually going to look at it right now. TrinityForcePodcast.com. Okay, let's see if Adam's got his stuff together.
We're testing.
Oh no.
He's listening to us and he's now disappointed
Oh well.
with himself.
He never listens to us anyway. Now, I just kind of think Four Wards means we're going to be even more ignored by our American friends.
Hey, but my Smite podcast is going to be loved.
Don't listen to him. He's
Kargan.
unreliable.
Guys, Kargan's in the chat. Hi, Kargan.
Hi, Gagan. Oh, there we go. TrinityForcePodcast.com/forwards. So that's the current website. Those guys are great. They're really good guys, and you should check them out. All right, let's talk about. I need to start the stopwatch because I haven't done that yet. Let's talk OPL. So this week we've had the because of the IEM break that was organised, we've had a delay. They held off the second day of week 5, and that was held on Monday. And of course, spoiler alert: the results were Direwolves went 2-0, Avant-Garde and Fornot went 1-1, and Sudden Fear went 0-2. So there you go. There you heard it. Fornot actually finally got a win.
And Victor didn't tell us first.
Yeah. I'm surprised we don't have a video of him
Where's
running
your
down the
secret?
street naked in celebration like they do with the soccer.
Hey,
They don't have to do a
at least-
pants run now.
Yeah, they dodged the pants run around the.
Yeah,
Like
the
you're
internet
wearing
cafe.
pants.
that's it.
I just
I'm not
wanna,
wearing
I
pants
wanna
right
point
now.
out Interesting statistic that could summarize the wins and losses in a very short sentence. Blue side won.
Okay.
That was 100% win rate for blue side.
Okay.
Awesome for blue side.
Who's
I wonder what the
that?
actual. They should do a win-loss like blue side, red side.
Well, there's
And,
actually a Twitter account out there that actually spits out random stats every now and then about the OPL. It's quite interesting. I'll have to get the you keep talking about
Sure,
OPL. I'll
alright.
try and find that Twitter.
So
The OPL games have been shoutcasted. There's a fact for you.
so let's talk about the games. So Direwolves went 2-0. What was interesting was they were really, particularly Sudden Fear. So their first game was against Sudden Fear. Sudden Fear really put the pressure on them. I was actually really surprised. There's a substantial, in terms of the standings, essentially Sudden Fear is second from the bottom. Direwolves are second from the top. You'd think they'd pretty easily be able to defeat them. But no, it was actually really close to about the 40-minute mark.
You just
And
continue
then...
to eat your words, don't you? It's just.
I never made any claim that Sudden Fear were no good, but it's just it's just surprising. Like,
I'm just remembering that one tweet that got you in so much trouble.
yeah. Mea culpa,
Three
mea
teams
culpa.
are ages ahead of the rest, and
Yeah.
they just completely contradicted several
Yeah,
games. In a row.
but no, not several. The next game.
The very next game.
The very next game. So yeah, Direwolves were essentially neck and neck, and then they actually got ahead. A bad dragon fight allowed them to get Baron, and then they basically just closed out the game. So, what are people's thoughts on Sudden Fear versus Direwolves?
Yeah,
if anybody wishes.
Sudden Fear were looking really good around the 20-minute mark. They were about 5k ahead. They lost the dragon fight, which closed that gold lead. But as the game continued, Sudden Fear actually started to make a comeback. To get their gold lead back. But and then every time they won a lot of fights. That's the thing. They won a lot of fights, but they were never in a position after the fight to get an objective.
Yep.
So, Sudden Fear's mechanics and defensive strategies and offensive strategies were quite good, but they just need to know when to pick their fights, or where to pick their fights more specifically, at least based on that game.
Yeah, it certainly seems like all of the teams can have a reasonable early game. It's just the more experienced teams, after sort of 30 minutes, get, even if they're behind, they'll get back into the game and they'll get a little ahead. So, I mean, I guess maybe that's the thing for some of the newer teams, Rich Gang, Sudden Fear, Fornot. I haven't
To be
to
fair to Rich Gang, they nailed that before.
Well, yeah, that's
before
true.
They were no longer Rich Gang.
Yeah, that's true.
They were quite good at that. That was the bit of the game that they were really good at.
Yeah.
The mechanics were okay. Like, they were like on the scale of professional play within the Oceanic area. These guys were really good solo queuers, but where they really had their strengths was in their late game tower pressure strategies and their warding when they're ahead and all that sort of stuff. That's what they were really good at.
Yeah.
They've lost that now that they've kind of.
Well,
devolved
even before that, like they were good, but I mean, when you get to that 30-minute mark where the experience really makes a difference, like the coordination and all that, and I mean someone like Team Immunity, great example, and Chiefs as well. I mean, those guys have like so much experience, and so even. I mean, there's been quite a few games of Immunity where they have come back. They had a really rough early start, which has been a thing for a while. I think we've talked about it before. They'd have a tough early start, but then they essentially get themselves back into the game by just being more experienced. So I mean, I think these new like the younger teams. I mean, if they're going to get ahead, they really need to capitalize on it. Like they need to really push themselves to say, well, okay, we might get ahead in this 20, 25 minutes. We need to do as much as we can, and I mean, obviously, these guys aren't Korean level, but I mean, it's not unusual for teams to sort of win games. Like, it's not totally unreal. It's like 25 minutes, you know.
Well, I don't even know that it's that they know when to pick their. I think Steve, you'll have something here in a minute, but I think this is a real crucial part of it. Is that the teams that are more experienced know to always have the creep waves in their favor before they go and press the other team.
Yes.
Because that's a huge thing. I mean, you mentioned it. Sudden Fear won a lot of fights. Fantastic. What did that get them? Nothing.
Yeah.
Now, if that was
because
Chiefs,
the waves were pushing against them.
Exactly. They went to fight when the waves were pushing against them, and their opposition weren't expecting them to be fighting. That's when you win fights unexpectedly. Direwolves weren't expecting them to be wanting to fight when the creep waves were pushing against them. This is something that's really not touched on as heavily as it should be, because having the creep waves in the right position means that you can press, and then back off and still get a turret.
Well, it's very much the metagame. It's very much the metagame right now. Basically, if the minions are on your side of the map, or are about to be on your side of the map, the best teams in the world have already started making the transition to clear that minion wave and get it pushing back against them, and then moving through their wards safely to regroup with their team and continuing that pressure. That's what the best teams in the world are doing right now. And I've got to say, Fornot, in the game that they won versus Sudden Fear, they got a very early lead. They snowballed their advantage quite early, but they did that. Like, they were doing that very well. And I think it's the first time we've actually seen Fornot with a lead and hold on to it. And
it's definitely the first time we've
that.
seen them hold on to it.
Yeah, exactly. But I got to say, Fornot's draft was quite good. I'm still waiting to see, like, Diana is still a bit of an asterisk in my mind, because I just haven't seen enough professional level games to see how... To really see what kind of metric gain that's going to get. Like, whether or not she's going to be a good enough champion to carry the games in general, like over a large amount of matches. But yeah, did quite well.
Carlos got very strong on Diana.
Yeah,
like,
in that game.
The Q was like half healthing people. Like,
yeah.
This is not the first time that he's played this. I was actually shoutcasting him on the weekend in Sentinels Pro Series Invitational, and he was playing it then in that tournament as well, and smashing people with it.
You can tell that they've been practicing it.
Yeah, so, yeah. I mean, I recall seeing Diana earlier in the OPL as well, and it might have been...
Yeah, well, that was... if I remember,
Carlos.
Victor was quite harsh on that pick, because it was... Diana was picked up the patch before she was buffed, like, on live. We were playing with a buffed Diana, and they'd obviously... Like, Victor's theory was that they'd practiced it in solo queue, and then taken it into the previous patch. And
not realizing.
Not done very well at all.
I'm pretty sure you're confusing me with you again, Steve.
No. I listen to the podcasts every week.
So does Victor.
And I'm pretty sure you said that. That was your idea. Well, you didn't confirm that was the case. I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but I'm pretty sure it was you that said that.
It was a joke thing. Carlos is a player who has his own picks. He doesn't have meta picks. He just has his picks. And if his picks happen to be meta picks, good work there. His picks are in the meta. That is what kind of
serious I've ever seen Victor. It's quite weird. He's taken the hat off, and now this is what Carlos. Yes,
that's what kind of player Carlos is. So Carlos has a very predictable champ pool.
Which, I mean, it's a very solo queue like player kind of thing. Like, I mean, that's what you do. You see it a lot in teams that have just come out of solo queue together because they've just...
That's Fortnite, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, which is Fortnite. And I mean, not just Fortnite as well, but like really Challenger Series is all like that. And heck, Challenger Series even in North America and Europe and stuff is like that. You know, it's just when you don't play professionally, having, 5-10 champions in your champ pool which, you know, are meta picks and not your own personal preference. Like, that's you can't do that unless you have time, and
there's
regular people have lives. So
I think I might have discussed this before. I can't remember if it was on record or not, but the reason for that is when you're a solo queue player, all you're doing is measuring yourself up against the lane opponent or the enemy team. You know, how good you are in comparison to how good they are, whether you can continue your snowball and all that sort of stuff. So when you're chucked into a team, that's the same. That's the mental practice you've had for your entire ranked career.
Yeah.
So when you're in a team, and you're going up against these other teams, you're like, well, we'll just use Diana in this example. I'm gonna use Diana because I'm an amazing Diana. Whereas, and that will work through some of the Challenger series, maybe as kind of a one-off surprise pick in a game against a certain matchup or something like that. But once you start getting to the top 100 people, the absolute top of the leagues, they're just as good as you are, if not better, in some scenarios. Like, you might be a better Diana player than they are, but they know they can just pick this champion, counter Diana, and then they can choose their composition to have more synergy with that champion. So they've beaten you at picks and bans based on your solo queue mentality. And the more times that happens, the more teams realize, okay, we've got to play what the strong champions are, and the champions that work really well together, and the champions that work really well against the champions that they've already picked. And that's why you see much smaller champion pools at the top level of thing. Like, you'll see, you know, you'll watch an OGN series, for example, or the LCK series, and it'll be last played, and it'll be the exact same champion. Or if it's not the same champion, it's because the other team got that champion. You know, so because they know, based on all the math crafting and the coaching that they've gotten, these champions are the best, and they work best with these other champions against those other champions. So. Yeah,
really cheap. Like,
picking solo queue champs can work to a point, but once you're at the very top, it doesn't really cut it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, probably the only person I can really think of off the top of my head who is like that at a sort of a higher level is probably Cheese on Immunity. You know, he plays Swain, and it's banned out against him pretty regularly because he's just so good on that champion, even though it's not a meta pick. And Swain has a lot of issues in terms of how his kit works, but he's just so good. Like, he's just that good. It doesn't matter, and everybody has to be aware that if they don't ban it, it could be picked.
And I think we discussed this like 3 weeks ago. Is that we can build a composition with strong metagame picks that synergize quite well with Swain, like the severe Jarvan Gnar combo that we ran with back there. That works really well together.
Yeah. And you're also talking about. Against the Callista pick you were using back when JK Smithy was still your top laner, you were using his Malphite in conjunction with the Swain to really lock down Callista because she was a huge problem. If Malphite gets in there with the R button, she's not going anywhere, and easy never move has been landed.
And I certainly remember, like, because Cheese has been around for a while, he was playing Swain a lot more, I think, but he just started losing. And it's actually a bit like Soul Strikes? Yeah. On Dival's, like, formerly Rippy. You know, his Udyr, like, he was famed for his Udyr play, and, really, towards the end of his time with the Team Immunity, back when they were Dignitas, I guess, this is going back a while, you know, his Udyr wasn't cutting it, you know, and he got dropped because, essentially, he had about 2 or 3 champs, he couldn't play anything else, and he was really good with them, but other teams learned to deal with that, and they stopped banning him just because they're like, yeah, sure, take Udyr and we'll slap you about. You know, you got Spooks like just absolutely kicking his ass all the time because they really know what they're doing, and you can't just play what you're good at. You need to actually understand, you know, why those champs do and don't work. So, it's one of those things that, well, I guess that you learn hard lessons and you start picking other things. But I guess what's interesting about OPL compared to the previous format is at least they have this opportunity to do this. Like, last year, you know, you had essentially 3 big series, and, you know, if you didn't do well, you were out for half of it because, you know, you wouldn't make it to the final 4. You know, so essentially you didn't have that experience, and lesser teams didn't really have a chance to kind of make it. Where,
I mean, how many times did we see the same player play for like 4 different teams? Like wait, is he on that team? I thought he was on
Yeah.
that team. Like, how many of those pre-podcast sessions do we have going?
Yeah.
Wait, who does he play
Who is
for?
this person?
I thought he was, yeah, exactly. I know
Especially when they
that name.
change their name. Oh my gosh. it
Yeah,
still
oh
bugs the
god,
shit
that's
out
the
of me.
worst. We're getting
Um,
sidetracked.
Yeah. But I mean, like you think, okay, Sudden Fear, Fortnite, Sudden Fear's 2-8, Fortnite is 1-9, but at least they've played 10 games and they've still got another, like 6 to go or something. Like
Four.
4 games to go. So, at least they would have had all this experience. And yes, they're going to have to go against whoever's top of the OCS, but at least they would have this experience. And if they make it through again, they can build on it.
And they're more likely to make it through again now because they've got this experience of understanding and developing as a team.
Yeah,
Is
And
the
also,
important part.
And they've been like contracted to like stay together as a team, so there's an incentive for them to not take other players in and put if they go through to the next series, they're more likely to try because they know that they work well together. They know their problems that they need to address and all that sort of stuff. So all in all, great growth for the Oceanic region.
And also, I mean, like for the teams that actually have real potential, because I mean, some of these teams are not going to have real potential. They're just going to make it through and then burn out. And we've seen that with the LCS as well. And I'm sure plenty of, all of them where some team comes up through the ranks, your complexities, your, whatever it is. And they come through, they get drilled and then they're done. Where teams that can actually learn, getting slapped about by the Chiefs for, 7 weeks. Yeah, it's not fun, but they will learn, and that will give them experience that they can learn from. So,
and there's also incentive for the teams that are at the top of that tier to scrim with these teams now because they're going to be playing against them, and that in itself is bonus experience. Like, how many times have you guys scrimmed Fortnite? You wouldn't have scrimmed Fortnite before the OPL. Well, I mean, with the exception of qualifying in through the OCS. Because why would you? They're a team that you guys know that don't draft well. That that you can perform very similarly to in lane, if not better than. What's the point of really scrimming these guys? You're just going to get cheese stuff thrown at you. If you lose to it, you're just going to go, okay, now we know that. Oh, well, what did we learn? Nothing.
It's a good opportunity to test out some champion synergy, I guess. We know they're not going to pick these good champions.
Yeah.
So, But anyway, that's
let's talk about let's move on because there's other
Scrimming's
games.
a much
as well.
different environment.
Yeah. So probably the big game for this week or this day was the Direwolves versus Avant, which Steve and I were actually watching before we started.
It's actually the third time I've watched that game now.
Okay, well, I hadn't seen it.
With you. Yeah.
So it was really, I mean, the lead up to this, I mean, really, there's a battle for fourth. Like, essentially more, I mean, Chiefs, Direwolves definitely have a lock on top 2.
Yeah.
Legacy's looking pretty secure in third place with 6 and 4. And it was essentially Avant, Immunity, and it was Rich Gang at one stage, but they've kind of dropped off and they're definitely not in contention anymore. So really, Avant and Immunity both have a good chance of making it to that fourth spot and making it through to the play. I guess the
playoffs.
Yeah.
Top 4 go to playoffs.
Yeah. So for Avant, it's really important that they win these games against these better teams because Chiefs are the only ones who have really, I mean, literally, they're the only ones who have gone 2-2 every week. But they're the ones who are consistently doing it. Others are not having as good weeks. It's usually a lot of these teams are going like Avant and Immunity are essentially beating the lower teams and losing against Direwolves and Legacy and Immunity. So Avant or Immunity, to really make it ahead, they need to beat Direwolves or they need to beat Legacy or they need to beat Chiefs.
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
Well, we fought Chiefs. No, we can't. Like
14-0 the dream. 14-0 the dream.
Like, Immunity can't beat Chiefs now because we fought them twice.
Okay.
You just wait. Next week you'll find out that it is I who was coaching Fortnite all along, and now they will come and beat Chiefs.
No. If you do, you should do like some Scooby-Doo villain like reveal. Like you're like,
now
you tear off your mask and you're the old guy. Down your kids.
Greetings, Summoners.
All right, Direwolves versus Avant, big stakes game. How did we feel Avant and Direwolves went? I mean, yeah,
it was very tense the entire game. Like, the gold was very close for the majority of the entire the entire game time. Where it really showed was Direwolves' dragon control. They got 6 dragons that game. 6. Not only did they get 5, which is what is you're normally required to win, but they got an additional one on top of that. And even though the goal difference was pretty close, and everyone they got enough items that it didn't really matter at that point, the stat bonuses from Dragon just allowed
That's like a K bonus in stats.
Yeah,
at least.
And they were eventually just able to walk up the mid lane as a group of 5 and win the game through just sheer dragon control. It was quite good. It was quite an exciting match to watch. There was a few mistakes from both teams, but when both teams are that nerve-wracked at the results, you could see that happening in all different types of sports. But no, Direwolves versus Avant was the game of the week, with Fortnite versus Sudden Fear being a sentimental favorite.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was. I mean, I think Direwolves had a pretty unimpressive week this week. Like, certainly
2-0, yeah.
Yeah, like I mean 2-0, but they didn't. It wasn't decisive wins. Like they didn't crush the opposition. I mean, this is the team in second place, and they really struggled against. I mean, they struggled against Sudden Fear, that's a real problem. Struggling against. I mean, heck, even Avant. They've still got their 3 wins ahead of Avant, so they really should be maybe not crushing, but dominating. And we didn't really see it. I mean, the key thing, it would have actually been more probably neck and neck until essentially they gave Avant sent Porky down to the bottom lane. God knows why. Like that's right. They had
Lysandra with that teleport.
Yeah, Lysandra with that teleport. Yeah. So they're basically in a situation where they've used a scry set. So Direwolves cleared out all the vision around Baron. They were kind of milling around. Avant used a scrying orb to spot them, spotted the whole team, and then about 20 seconds later, Porky decides to go to the bottom lane. Like I have no idea why they did that. Like, I mean, there must have been. I mean, like when I was talking to you were sort of saying maybe they were on tilt, but I mean, it's even if they were. I mean, that's such a huge mistake.
Was he on Lysandra?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. There's nothing you're going to do by going bottom lane without teleport on Lysandra.
Yeah.
You're not going to push a turret. You're not going to take... if it was Jax without a teleport, you knew you couldn't fight the Baron.
Yeah.
Jax is at least going to take an inhibitor for
you.
Lysandra is going to walk down there and look stupid.
And the minion wave was actually
stupid legs and a stupid
near their tier 2 turret. So it wasn't even like the minion wave was anywhere remotely close to the turret. Like by the time they finished getting the Baron, he got to the middle part of the lane and he got to river at bottom lane, and that was it. Like they literally gave up a Baron for nothing, and then Direwolves just essentially got the middle inhibitor almost straight away, and it was basically all over from there. So I mean, it was just such a critical mistake, and had they contested that Baron, because it was actually, I mean, they were close. I think they might have been 2k ahead. I think Direwolves were maybe 2k ahead.
The was pretty close the entire game.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was 47,000 to 45,000, so it's kind of at the point where a 2k lead is not really a 2k lead. It's just, it was a complete breakdown, and it cost them the game. Like, I mean, and this is a game they probably could have won. I think Direwolves was up a couple of towers, but still. So
I think Avant really could have turned it around, but there was a moment where they made a Baron call rather than rotating to take a tower when they had a slight advantage, and Morgana just walks up and throws down the Tormented Soil?
Yeah.
Throws down Tormented Soil and gets a
double kill.
With no answer. She just black shields up and walks away.
Yeah.
Double kill.
That was actually quite interesting because the reason that Avant did that is they decisively won a team fight. Like it was 4-for-1 in Avant's favor, and they were right near the Baron, so it wasn't it was a no-brainer. And in fact, that was actually an incredibly bad play by Direwolves. Like Direwolves, just basically went in. Like somebody got caught out. I think Soul Strikes got caught out, and so everybody kind of just went in after him one by one, and they kept getting caught one by one and taken down one by one. And Sharp was the only one who got away, and he just basically backed out straight off. And so it was actually it was a smart move to go for Baron because they were just there. But the Morgana, the Baron had already done a bit of damage, and Morgana just walked up and got a couple of easy kills. So because Baron was still attacking them. So
if people don't know what Baron does, Baron lowers your magic resist by a good 1,000%.
Yeah. Not only that, but it occupies you for a great amount of time, does a ton of damage to you, and gives you absolutely no vision anywhere on the map apart from where you're standing.
Yeah.
However, if you'd pushed the tower, gotten minion waves pushing for you rather than against you, taken the opportunity after a fight to put down some wards, then you're in a real comeback situation.
Yeah.
Baron is used as a pushing aid. The reason Avant would want it would be to prevent the pushing aid to direwolves. The combat stats that you get from Baron are just nowhere near as good as the ones that you get from Dragon. So, and absolutely nowhere near as good as the benefits that you get from warding and vision control. Like, I definitely, like, there's a time and place for Baron. I really felt that was not it. Like, they did win a fight near the Baron, but the conditions that they were in the game, I don't think the Baron was the right call.
Baron is such a throw tool. Really,
the only
it is.
Positive,
to be able to take Baron, you need to be able to give them as few options as possible. Like, either they're all fucking dead and they just can't do anything about it, like everyone, or the jungler's gone, they got no smite, and they got these lanes pushing up.
That's the thing, they did. That was the fight that they just won.
Yeah. Well, you've seen the massive nerfs to Baron in this patch, right? I think it's under Bard. Yeah, that's where it is. That's the massive Baron nerf. It's called Bard.
Sure. Okay. So, keep going, Scott.
Why do a Baron unless you're sitting at inhibitor turrets? That's the only reason to do Baron at the moment. It's just because inhibitor turrets are a little bit too risky to dive.
Yeah. Well, but the other thing is you deny that, because direwolves were quite possible that they could have rubber banded and got Baron. So, I mean, denying direwolves the opportunity to take Baron is not an insubstantial thing. And direwolves were actually, I mean, they were quite well pushed throughout the whole time. Their minion waves were pushing quite well. So, I actually don't think it was that bad a decision. It worked out really badly because it turns out Morgana's really good at hurting people off Baron, single-handedly.
Played support for so long that everyone completely just underestimates her damage. But if you look at Avant-Garde's composition, they had Corki, Lissandra, Vi, Lulu, and Nidalee. This is not a very good damage for Baron team. Whereas Kalista, and Jarvan, on direwolves is just going to kill that thing.
Yeah.
So Avant probably would have done a lot better scouting out the area, just based on their composition.
Why do you go for Baron with a Corki, Lulu, Lissandra, Nidalee? What the hell were you thinking?
Well,
I don't know.
Forget the map situation,
like
but what are you doing? The only benefit, right? The strong point of that composition is to set up around an objective and poke them off it.
Yeah.
Why are you on a Baron with a composition like that?
Except, okay, so say you're in that.
If you're worried about Baron going, just secure the area, get your wards
maybe
out there,
that's what
clear
they
out
should
their
have done.
wards, and just make sure it's safe. Like, you don't have to...
Even if they get a Baron, it's still advantageous for you if you can manage to hold the turret for long enough, because then they're going to be coming for a turret, because that's what you do with a Baron.
No, don't get me wrong. I think the call to Baron is defendable. I personally would have recommended against it if I was doing the shot calling in that game. And when you win I think we had an episode on this ages ago, didn't we, Carrot, where we were discussing when to take Baron and when to take towers and such.
Yeah.
And I think we were divided on the issue. So
yeah.
Baron calls are always a bit risky, and I think in the current metagame they're riskier than they've been for a long time, because the amount of time it takes to kill Baron compared to the amount of time it takes to destroy a tower. I think the tower falling over is a much more a better use of your time, especially when you're not designed. If they had Karthus Kalista or something like that. If they had a team, Blade of the Ruined King Zed. If they had a team built on burning down percentile damage or just a ton of damage to one target, it would have been a much safer call.
Which is why, in some ways, you want to try and deny Direwolves the opportunity to take Baron, because they've got a Callista. They are going to take down Baron super quick. So it's...
Well, Callista is the god of taking Baron.
Yeah. We're spending a lot of time on this Baron control, when really I think what nailed it was the 6 dragons.
Yeah, well, that... Yeah, I mean, that... And it was actually the fact, losing that fight around Dragon, it was quite a poor engage by them. And then, essentially it allowed Direwolves to get Baron, and then it was over. So, I mean, it's one of these things. But, alright, so the finals, the current standings, overall, Chiefs 10-0, whoop whoop. Direwolves 8-2, Legacy 6-4, Avant and Immunity both on 5 and 5. Rich Gang on 3 and
5
7. Sudden Fear 2 and 8, and Fortnite 1 and 9. So let's talk about this upcoming week.
The match that matters: Avant-Garde versus Immunity.
Yes, this is
Right.
it.
No,
This
that
is-
match has no relevance whatsoever.
Oh god.
I mean,
I'm somewhat stressed.
yeah.
It's
I mean, realistically,
quite a stressful situation to be in, but I'm feeling confident.
yeah. And Avant's got a
always
much
possible.
better final week as well. So it's Avant's got Rich Gang and Sudden Fear in their final week, where Immunity is playing Direwolves and Legacy. So, you know, like essentially Immunity's.
This game matters a ton.
Yeah, well, I mean, essentially, if Avant gets this game, wins this game, they've got a lock on 4th place. I mean, not, you know, I guess it's theoretically not a lock, but it's a pretty good chance they're going to get it. Where
On Sudden Fear.
I mean, like, even if Immunity win, there's still a good chance they're not going to lose because, you know, it's quite possible that Avant will go 2-0 in the final week. So
Based on the standings. Based on the
based on-
standings, that's the way it can go. But we've seen very, very close games that could have been swung either way. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, I mean, Sudden Fear took it to Direwolves. If they bring out their best game against Avant in the final week.
Rich Gang took it to Chiefs.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah.
Like
Well,
these, yeah. It's not like the top 3 are just way above everyone else. I'm just...
Chiefs
kidding.
are. Don't,
No.
talk about our Chiefs like that.
Well, we just said Chiefs damn near lost a game to Rich Gang.
Yeah, but that was that the old Rich Gang or was that the current?
Yeah, it was. It
Yeah.
was.
Well, you know, there you go.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, we're talking about pulling the mask off me and saying, "Oh no, Fortnite was victor all along." I feel like we're getting this wrong. Carrot is the face underneath the Chiefs all along.
Yeah, that's it.
We're just gonna pull the mask off. It was Carrot. He runs the Chiefs.
I'm actually Ray
Be
Deer.
quiet. Sagan's
Yeah.
probably filing a lawsuit. as we
I'm hiding my light under the bushel. I'm really Ray Deer. I'm actually top player and
That's
challenger
it.
at the moment.
This is
This
the mask.
this talk of being unable to get out of bronze is all just it's just a deception. It's a sleight of hand. All right, so the big game is Immunity versus Avant, but this Legacy and Direwolves is also a pretty decent game to watch because you know that it'd be interesting to see if Legacy can sort of push up to 2nd place. I mean, what the Legacy like in their final week? So Immunity and Fortnite, where Direwolves are Immunity and Fortnite. Well, actually both playing Immunity and Fortnite. There you go. Yeah. All right. Well, that's OPL. Let's quickly. Well, we'll make mention of the OCS. I don't think we're going to talk about this week just because they hadn't finished playing all the games, and I actually wanted to watch the games last night, but then the power died for about 4 hours here in the town I live in. So,
and the games were on while I was at work.
yeah.
Damn these time differences.
But I just want to say straight up that I saw most of the game, Sin Gaming's first game against Equalizer. And my oh my, those guys looked really good. Like, I mean, it was textbook. Like the way they moved around the map. You know, they get a kill in mid, they'd rotate the bottom, they get a kill under tower. Like, it was just.
And that's coming
It's
from
amazing.
Radia. We're not doing that anymore.
Yeah, no, we're not. That joke's gone. So no, I was.
So, Carrot, I hear you've got 2 accounts at the top of the Challenger in OCA.
Oh my god.
Yes, that's
Don't
it.
you read the summoner terms and conditions?
Yeah.
And then 1 at the bottom of...
Yeah, that's it. I've simultaneously Challenger 1 and 2, and then the bottom of Wood 5. So yeah, Sing game, I was impressed, and I'm looking forward to watching Sing how the rest of it. But yeah, OCS. So I'm guessing they must be doing Tuesday, Wednesday OCS, and then Monday and Thursday for OPL. Yeah,
Too many fucking games to watch.
yeah, it's getting a bit like that.
Fucking
The only team
don't
I
you
care
even
about already lost.
start.
But I mean, the thing is, like, once this is done, like, we're going to be done for like 5 months or something stupid. Like, I don't think they're going to be playing again until like August.
That's fine. We can
Um,
talk about the right times
Steve?
to and not to take Baron.
Yeah.
Yeah,
every
for
episode.
weeks on end.
Endless. Let's just rename it the Dragon and Baron podcast and just do nothing but talk about Dragon and Baron like the whole time.
So when a patch notes comes out, fortunately there
Yeah.
were no changes to Baron.
Yeah.
However, there was a change to jungle
Yeah.
items, which will change who can
Well,
kill
but
them.
we're going to ignore those changes to jungle items because all that matters is Dragon and Baron.
A new smite has been added to the
Wait.
game. If
Yeah.
you click on Baron, it dies.
So the right time to take Baron is always
Yeah.
There's level
15
1.
minutes when it's spawns.
Dignitas would say,
From
yes it is.
20 minutes when it spawns.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Just have a 10-man dance party in the Baron.
Yeah.
So it's 20 minutes.
I love those. I love those. And it's just funny to see people like they're like, you know, they're itching to kill each other and they're just like, they're kind of dancing around it. Brilliant. Always love those. All right.
It's even
One
better
guy to
than
start
that.
killing.
Playing two teams of all for one that are all fiddlesticks and sitting around the Baron pit, all draining each other, all with spell vamp
Yeah.
and
That's-
CDR. So it's literally
That
drain.
seems like it has some sort of dirty connotation to it. So I
Yeah.
think we should move on to the patch.
All right, let's talk about patch notes. So last week we talked about all the champion changes, and we might even come back to them. Like we'll probably talk about some of those changes in light of the item changes. But yeah, we're going to talk about the rest of them. So items and turrets and all the rest of it. So Luden's Echo is the new 120 ability power item, replacing.
Real quick.
Oh,
The
sorry.
new Tarek visual update looks excellent.
Oh, God.
You mean for a terrible champion that looks like shit? It's
It makes
slightly
a great
better.
champion that
Yeah.
looks like shit. Still kind of good.
Okay.
God damn it, Victor. That was totally a outrageous comment that you should have been there, damn it.
Sapphires are for vigor.
All right, Luden's Echo. 120 ability power is the replacement, essentially filling the space of Deathfire Grasp that we had before. Built out of a needlessly large rod, an Aether Wisp, and it's essentially the what's its name? Static Shiv, more or less. Its ability is you gain charges on moving or casting, and then once you get to 100 charges, you do extra damage up to 4 targets on hit. Yeah, what do people think?
Yeah, it's contrary to the Static Shiv. You do not build charges from auto attacking.
No.
Static Shiv, the electric shock from Static Shiv can critically strike. This one cannot critically strike or anything of the sort. Instead, it has its own ability power scaling equal to 0.15%.
Yeah, but it does apply spell effects, so...
And it does apply spell effects, yes.
So, yeah, it's obviously not exactly the same as Static Shift, but it's similar sort of
Hello,
principle.
Vlad plus Luden Echo, because you know hitting people with tides of blood and then like the chain from that vamping
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
gonna be
Well,
awesome.
Not only that, but it gives him movement speed, which is a very favorite stat on Vlad.
Yeah, having the lowest movement speed stat next to Nautilus.
And someone like probably...
Because any movement speed buff that he gets applies to his pool movement as well. So that allows for a little bit more play. I'm not saying this is going to bring Vlad Black or anything back, but it does apply spell vamp. So
Yeah.
there is a lot of synergy with his kit right there.
I wonder if
Next
like...
up on the OzLoL podcast, Carrot and Steve discuss why Vlad is now back.
No, that's really not going to happen.
Maybe Diana, that might come up.
Yeah, I would have thought also like someone like Swain would probably benefit a lot from this as well, because the movement speed...
So
And-
I actually think the person who'd benefit a lot from it would be Twisted Fate. From the
yeah.
movement speed and the fact that he's already keeping track of his auto attacks and his gold cards and everything. He can just
Yep.
use that plus 100 damage on a card auto attack queue combo, and the movement speed, of course, for roaming. Because while Twisted Fate sometimes gets death cap, that's mainly for like hard push poke strats. Mainly he goes for Azonia's Hourglass for that sort of teleport in gank, but that's sort of fading out of viability. So this might add a little bit of options to his build, to his itemization path. Is that what I'm
Yeah.
looking for? Options? Yeah.
Yeah.
Words that mean different things.
I mean, it's kind of an interesting thing, because, I mean, you think about who took Deathfire Grasp before: Vega, Katarina, Akali, Ari. You know, some of those would probably use this. Like Ari, I guess she's a pretty decent roamer, so you might use it for her. Akali probably, I mean, she's an auto attacker, so, you know, the move speed helps with her. But, I mean, Vega's probably not going to get much out of this. Like, there's a few champions that benefit from DFG that don't really benefit from this. So
Yeah, well, one of the big things about Deathfire Grasp, and we talked about this when they removed it, it was 120 ability power cooldown reduction item.
yeah,
This is not that. This
Yeah.
is extra damage upon spamming of spells, which is, you know, it's good, But like Akarthus is going to build a Death Cap or a Zhonya's before he builds this.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that an extra 100, 200 damage on his ult hitting 4 targets would be pretty nice. I wonder how they prioritize that, actually. That'd be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's... Yeah, I mean, that was... Yeah, because it hits everybody simultaneously.
It hits 5 people simultaneously, but can only hit 4 targets. So
I wonder if it just randomizes it.
Who's the lucky one?
Yeah. Or like an AoE thing, like, like a Veigar would use it and to hit 3 people with one of his abilities, like... In fact, well, a whole bunch of them. Like Lux as well. They hit instantaneously, so... Yeah, it's... I don't know. I mean, the AP scaling, I think, is quite interesting. Like, I mean, it's going to add a nice little damage, but...
It's not a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I had to be up to, like, 900 and something to get an extra 100 damage out of it all. Something really high, but I guess any damage is more damage.
Yeah. I mean, because
Cassidy
who
probably
I
jumped
thought-
out at me.
Oh,
Just had a thought. Because it works well with Spellvamp and Rylai's, Singed. I've just had this thought. Because he'd basically charge that up instantly.
Yeah.
All the time. He benefits amazingly from movement speed, as everybody knows. And then when he finally gets in fling range, boom, just the extra 100 and whatever damage just on you. I like that idea.
It's going to make Singed even more OP in ARAM. Yes. Freaking love that guy. So good. Yeah. Actually, I play Singed to like... There's a young guy in my church who had started to teach how to play League of Legends, and when he went in a 1v1 me, I'd just take Singed and just be like,
because you're a meme.
Yeah, I just like if I can't be by the party, I'll just proxy farm.
Yeah, it's so actually it's quite a funny idea because you can really teach someone that chasing down kills is not always the right option.
Unfortunately, he's a little bit better now, so he's probably not going to be as easy to beat with Singed. But anyway, I mean, it's...
you have competition.
Yeah, no. I actually might actually get hurt. No.
Oh my god, he's out of wood.
Yeah, that's it. Like, I've got such a fragile ego because I never made it out of bronze last season. So I got to take it out on small children.
Play more. You got to play more. That's all you need to do.
That's it.
All right. On to the next item.
Something I'm pumped about, Sweeping Lens, the tier 2, so the non-upgraded red trinket that you get at level 9. Well, actually, sorry, I'm not happy about this because it was 60 seconds. It's now going to 75 seconds for its cooldown.
75 seconds.
Oh, no, that's right. It was just the tooltip, wasn't that? Yeah, that's right. Forgot about that. Anyway, that's interesting. Well, let's talk about some big changes, though. Balmy Cinder and the Cinder Hulk enchantment. And, well, Sunfire Cape as well, I guess, now is changed. So, Balmy Cinder is a new item. It's a little tagline underneath is the baby Sunfire. It builds out a ruby crystal and 600 gold. It gives you 300 health. It also gives you essentially the same sort of passive as Sunfire Cape. It deals 5+1 per champion level, magic damage to nearby enemies, and 50% extra damage to minions and monsters.
It's also a named unique passive, which means it does not stack with passives with the same name, which is Immolate.
Yep.
So that Bard last game, Ranconius, who built this and Sunfire Cape and Cinderhulk out of the jungle.
Kind of a waste of time. So that upgrades for the Cinderhulk enchantment. So this replaces Juggernaut, which is Balmy. So it's Balmy Cinder plus 350 gold. Actually, we'll talk about that in a second. Let's just talk about Balmy Cinder itself. So what do people think? Essentially, it's there for tanky junglers in particular. What do people think?
Cool step item.
It is a cool step item.
As opposed to Giant Spout, which is just HP. Now you get something a little bit extra, and I'm pretty sure it does have the same gold cost as Giant Spout now.
It is, yep, 1,000 gold.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's a neat little step item, but when you build Balmy Cinder, you have to go for the Balmy Cinder upgrade. Like if you're jungling, you're probably going for Cinderhulk, and if you're in top lane, you're definitely going for Sunfire Cape. So as opposed to very recently when you could pick up a ruby crystal and then turn it into a giant spout, well, you could turn that giant spout into a Randuin's Omen, you could turn it into a Sunfire Cape. If you really wanted to make... You could turn it into a Rylai's if you were someone like Rumble. If you really wanted to make a Carrot really angry, you could turn it into a Frozen Mallet.
Is it just Carrot that we're making really angry with
pretty sure
it's
you
Photophobia.
really angry.
But the important point is that if you picked up a ruby crystal, you had 1,000,001 options. You weren't channeling yourself. You could choose. Even picking up a giant's belt, you weren't channeling yourself directly into one thing. Now you're kind of rather restricting yourself.
Yeah, well, when you go to the because you can still sit on the crystal and be like, do I really want Balmy Cinder? But because like it's not
that
like
part of it's actually quite powerful, because just a ruby crystal, depending on how your game turns out, could become a Sightstone. It could become a Banshee's Veil. It could become a Balmy Cinder. Like, just the ruby crystal is not locked into anything, which is
the thing
quite
about
good
the Balmy
opportunity for junglers.
Balmy Cinder, you'd have to. The difference between Balmies and things like that is Sunfire's best used earlier in the game because it drops off pretty badly later on. Like if you're sitting on, like if you say at some point in the game, I want to get a Sunfire Cape, you have to go straight to Balmy Cinder and then turn that straight into a Sunfire Cape. Like if you get a Ruby Crystal with thoughts of, well, I could turn this into a Balmy Cinder and then a Sunfire. 20 minutes into the game, don't bother.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's only... I mean, the thing is, not that many champions build Sunfire Cape to begin with, so...
Not currently.
Not currently, no.
Because Righteous Glory and Randuin's and similar items just provide so much more.
Yeah.
Whereas the Sunfire Cape is really sustained tankiness in the enemy backline, which is not coming up nearly as often as disintegrating the backline at the moment. So.
Or split pushing. I mean, that's probably the other thing. Like, I mean, I think the person who benefits the most from this is Shen. You know, before you'd have to go... Essentially, you have to get to a Sunfire Cape, which is substantially a lot more. I mean, it's 2,600 gold. Now, at 1,000 gold, you essentially can start working towards that notion of... I mean,
the damage difference is pretty big, though.
It is, but it's
like
still...
it
still gets you a bit more damage, you know. It's still... you know, I mean, how much...
It does... Your level plus 5 is how much Balmy Cinder does.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, like, what point does Shen have 1,000 gold? So we're probably talking about 6 minutes, 7 minutes? Yeah, no, not even that. It's earlier.
You've also got to consider when you're thinking about what you want to itemize with Shen and whatnot, that this is dealing 50% bonus damage to minions and monsters. Yeah. So this is actually something that I actually discussed with a friend the other day, was that he's building this item on Sion and taking him mid lane, maxing shield, no one can kill him, he clears mid lane with the shield, he props E, W, and the creep wave dies with the Balmy Cinder, then he just goes and takes both Wraith camps. And he is literally so tanky that no one can do anything to him.
Alright, so what you're saying is we need to play more Mordekaiser.
I mean, it's like the difference between Balmy Cinder and Giant Spell is actually only 80 health. So you sacrifice 80 health for the Immolate pass. I mean, obviously it locks you into Sunfire Cape, but I mean, it's not like you're not losing if you...
Well, it's still gold. Like, you can sit on this item in the mid-game and not upgrade it to Sunfire Cape if magic resistance is more important.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so Balmy Cinder... Like, just buying a Balmy Cinder is not like a gold sink. Like, you don't have to... It's not like one of those items that if you don't upgrade it immediately, it's going to be terrible. Like, you know, like if you buy your Chalice of Harmony and then start working towards your death cap, you're missing out on that 20% cooldown reduction that you could have got from Athene's, as well as, like, additional like additional things from that item. Like, Balmy Cinder does exactly the same thing as Sunfire Cape, but without the armor and with less health and less damage. So
but I mean, for someone like Shen, it's a nice little step up. Like, it's going to allow him to get into the game a lot quicker than before. Which, I mean, Shen is one of those picks that he's, you know, for the longest time, he was always in the top lane. Like, he wasn't good enough that you had to ban him, but his presence, his map presence is so good that you couldn't really ignore him. It was the fact that
he didn't have any terrible matchups.
Yeah. You know, that was the thing. Like, he never beat anybody in lane, but he was never beaten in lane. And that obviously changed when the Renekton bar came in. Like,
it wasn't Renekton. It was the fact that Jax became big, and then Renekton became big to counter Jax. But Jax only became big to beat Shen, and because Triforce was decent.
Yeah.
Like, and also his ult was bugged and he was banned from pro play for a long
that's
time.
True. Yeah.
So no one bothered playing him.
Yeah.
But if you want to talk about items that are good on Shen, scroll down just a little bit further and you will see Zizirot Portal.
It's true.
Like that, yeah, like that item is, like, that's a Shen item right there. Like, this is your... I've got defensive stats from Zizirot Portal, now I can build all my HP on other stuff, or vice versa.
Speaking
That
of moving on to ZZ Rock Portal,
Well-
Raptor's cloak has been buffed.
Well, before we get there, since we're talking about Barmy Cinder, let's talk about Cinder Hulk in particular, because this has replaced the Juggernaut enchant from the jungle. I mean, from essentially the idea is that you know they wanted to fix the sort of the clear problems that tanky junglers have had. So now you get Barmy Cinder, and then you build it into Cinder Hulk. The actual stats of the item, it gives you 350 health, it gives you 25% bonus health, and it's got the Immolate passive for 16 plus 1 per champion level magic damage. But it increases in time in combat up to 24 plus 1.5 per champion level. So that's a pretty significant ramp up.
This immediately screams Nautilus to me. Like with the recent changes, what, 2 or 3 patches ago, I've lost track, where they changed his shield. Yeah, the shield now scales off his total HP, and now making early HP more attractive, and maintaining that 25% bonus health. I think Nautilus is gonna love the Cinder Hulk enchantment.
Played it on Nautilus, he's not wrong.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I mean, the loss of tenacity is pretty substantial, though. I mean, I think the 25% bonus health is obviously great for Scion and Nautilus and those guys.
Not for Nautilus. I don't think so, because he was always buying Mercury Treads anyway. Like, unless you're against the Vayne or something,
Well, except that, I mean, mobility boots were pretty... Like, the fact that you could take Moby boots as well as Juggernaut and you'd still have tenacity. You didn't have to choose between
that is true.
Merc Treads and Moby boots. And Moby boots...
You could trade out your Mobies for something later in the game when it wasn't that necessary.
Could, but even in
the map.
Even
and
in early in the game,
you can make up for it with Iron Elixirs as well.
Yeah, but early in the game, you'd have Moby boots. You'd probably go, once you've finished building your enchantment, you'd then probably go Moby boots, or even before then. So before, like, because you only get those before level 9, and I think it's only slow as well. Like, I don't even think it reduces slow. It doesn't reduce. It's not actual tenacity, I don't think.
What? Elixir?
Is Elixir Divine? Is it
Elixir grants tenacity, slow resistance, increased size, and the movement speed passive.
Alright, so there you go.
It used to stack. It used to stack, so they had to change the way tenacity works, where it has diminished returns.
Yeah. It stacks multiplicatively instead of additively.
Yes.
I love that word, multiplicatively. I can't say it properly.
If you could just learn to say it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, I mean, like...
You just
that
have
was
to find,
a huge bonus.
The CDR and the tenacity in other places, sadly.
Yeah, which, I mean, and that's not... that's something. Like, that's a real consideration.
I guess the problem... I guess because the problem was the clearing, not so much, they need tenacity and CDR, then I guess this might be the better way to go.
Except, sorry, Scott, you want to say something, so...
Well, yeah, I mean, the problem with tanky junglers in the new season is the fact that they can't clear, right? The new jungle requires some form of early damage to be able to get through it. That's why we're seeing a lot of Vi, Jarvan, Lee Sin. That's why we're seeing these champions. Why are we not seeing tanks? Because you take so long to clear the jungle that it just about kills you. And that's the problem. This is where this fits in.
Yeah, except it doesn't, because it's 1,000 gold. And it's not going to help you with your... I mean... part of the issue is the first clear is absolutely friggin' brutal. It's it takes you forever to clear, and you just
like just the Chavens, the Jarvan's armor passive from his standard has seen him drop way off in terms of his viability. Like he's still picked. Don't get me wrong, but he's no longer picked for that early game pressure. Now you pick Vi in that slot.
Yeah,
he's not perma pick ban.
Essentially, Barmy Cinder is not quite as bad as the item. Oh, I completely forgot what it's called now. The item that gives you mana back when you auto attack.
Oh God.
Essence Reaver.
Yeah, Essence Reaver. Like Essence Reaver was an item designed to fix a problem. That is,
it has its place.
Marksmen have mana issues early in the game, so they create this item that gives you mana back when you auto attack. Okay, that makes sense. Except that
late game,
it does. Yeah, it doesn't help you at the point where you need that help the most, which is the early game. And Barmy Cinder is the same. It's a fix to a problem that's... I mean, it's not totally gone by the time you buy this item, but it's kind of nowhere near as bad. Like, it's those first couple of clears that are just so slow. And Barmy Cinder's not there, so it doesn't help you at all.
Enter Grump Buff.
Yeah, so Grump Buff is better.
It's changed now to be better in the early game. You would notice later in the game, like it would just like even when you had items, it still took 10 years to clear, and sometimes it felt like it was taking longer to clear the jungle because as the mobs leveled up, they got a bit stronger. It felt like even later was why is it taking so long to clear? I felt like my first clear was better than this. Like season 4 jungle, the easiest jungle on the planet. My Nautilus first clear was quicker than my Nautilus 5th clear or whatever. Like it just felt like I was in there forever. So I wouldn't say at all that this is coming when you don't need it. I'd say tanky junglers always need a faster clear because tanky junglers don't have damage. But the early stages of the game, yes, you do not have Barmy Cinder active, but that's why tank junglers need to prioritize Gromp buff. And especially seeing as that...
Attack speed quintessences and marks, I think, as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's useless late game, and the 24 damage plus the champ level, so it's gonna plus, so it's 18, so 9, so 33 damage per every second. I mean, it's essentially what Sunfire Cape gives you. Oh, it's pretty close. Oh, yeah, it's still relatively close to what Sunfire gives you, but you know, that's not nothing. But I don't know if it's better than 20% CDR or 10% CDR or whatever it was. So
you just have to find it in other places, and there are a lot of good tank items with cooldown reduction on them. Like Frozen Heart's like best item in the game. Let's be honest.
Depending upon how long this
actually thinking Spirit Visage.
This specific immolate portion enchant requires to ramp up, it's more damage at level 2. Then it's equal to Sunfire Cape at level 2 and stronger past that once it's ramped up.
Yeah, except that Sunfire Cape gives you 1 per level as well. So Sunfire Cape
but this
doing
gives you
40...
1.5 per level at max rank.
Yeah.
At max level ramp up. That's
30.
Okay.
35. 43. Anyway.
Do we want to keep moving?
Yeah, we'll keep moving. Yeah, because we only got theoretically we only got 5 minutes left, but I think we'll have to go over. So let's talk about Raptor Cloak. So again, Raptor Cloak has been around for a while now. I don't think I've actually ever seen anybody take it.
I do.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. One person. All right. So its armor's gone from 30 to 40, and it's now. I thought they had the point runner passive before anyway.
It did, but
it was only on
now
actives.
It works on fallen turrets, like dead turrets.
Okay.
It will now work on. It
Right.
didn't work on dead turrets before, which is pretty cool because
That's actually a pretty big buff.
When I was buying Raptor Cloak, I was like, because when I first bought it and saw the movement speed, I was like, oh my god, I am Sanic! Oh, I'm so fast! And then I get to a dead turret and I was like, no, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's so goddamn slow. Getting back into lane, running past turrets is really cool. Getting back to the team, whatever, and diving with a Raptor Cloak, it's pretty cool. It negates the slow that the laser turrets actually give you.
Oh, that's cool.
Because it gives you so much movement speed, the lasers don't affect you. The slow portion, that is. They'll still reduce your damage and hit you for all of your life bar.
Yeah. Caesar Rock Portal, armor's gone from 50 to 60, as well as both armor and MR goes from 50 to 60. And now the Void Spawnling does a lot more damage. So base damage it's doubled. Against structures. Yeah, so against structures he's doubled his damage, more than doubled his damage against non-structures. He lasts longer, and the acquisition range on inhibitors and Nexus are a lot longer. So
I'll tell you something about this item. The fucking Voidlings are still so goddamn dumb.
yeah,
They are just stupid. I'm setting them up. I'm like, okay, I put you here. You just run down this way, and bam, you're there. And they go
anywhere but where they're supposed to.
Come on!
That's because the way minions were coded, they weren't coded to be in the jungle.
Yeah.
So that's the problem with them, is that they get into the jungle, and everyone knows this, when a minion hits the jungle, it freaks out.
Yeah.
So
stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, this item, like, the bare stats on it are pretty darn nice. I mean, the wiki doesn't have a cost analysis yet, but I suspect it's going to be very close, if not over 100%, like of value, just because. Yeah. Yeah, 60 armor each, and then the point runner, and then the spawn lane is pretty good. So
Yeah,
I
we'll
still
see.
think it's a
If you
problem
actually
of
hover, if you actually hover over it, you can see the range the Voidlings will run. And
Yeah.
also, Omewrecker also got the point runner move
Yeah.
speed upgrade. Do we want to talk about Glory?
yes. So we're pushed against time. Last Righteous Glory. We'll cover this and then we'll do the rest of it next week because we've got inhibitors.
We're
and
going to spend the
nexuses to
entire
talk
time on Banneker Command.
about. Yeah, better. Righteous Glory, straight up buff from 500 health to 650 health. Darn, this item is so good now. Like it's so, like, I mean, this like I think the problem with Zero Bottle is it's hard to think of a circumstance where you definitely always want to take it. I can't imagine a circumstance for a top laner wouldn't want to take Righteous Glory. Like it's such a great item.
It's
Yeah.
it's awesome.
For contrast, Warmogs is 800 health.
Yeah.
Like that's getting pretty damn close now, and it has a move speed and like everything juicy about it.
It's
As
half
well
a
as
Randuin's and
Better
half a
mid game
Shirelia's.
transitioning. Yeah, it's just fantastic. We're going to see one minimum every game, every team.
Yeah. And we were saying that anyway. Now it's
Yeah.
even better.
Yeah, we're going to see junglers, top laners, and supports picking this up at some point,
Yeah.
depending on the composition needs.
Well, it
obviously.
actually works okay on
Yeah.
supports. It's like the leveling's the problem with supports activating
yeah.
the
Well, see, that's the thing about Glory compared to Talisman. Anyone can get Glory. Only the support can really get Talisman.
It's
Yeah.
quite funny because I've seen a lot of supports at high levels building both Righteous Glory and Talisman.
Mm-hmm.
Both. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Because because they
that's
stack.
a crap load of utility and you
Yeah.
just everything.
Oh, I mean, yeah, Talisman Ascension and this, you're just going to run, like, so... I mean, it's almost like a dash that's that quick. You're going to move in that quickly.
Yeah.
so-
we just nerfed Sivir by putting this item up this
Yeah.
far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't need you,
Or
bitch.
buffed her.
Well, essentially,
You
it's,
use
I don't,
all
it's,
three.
it's probably not additive, but, you know, the Talisman gives you 40% movement speed. Righteous Glory gives you 60% movement speed. So, you know, it's probably not strictly additive, but it's essentially giving you almost 100% move speed, which
Yeah.
is crazy. And then Sivir. Oh, nuts. All right. Well, we might touch on those again if we think of anything between now and next week. But we've got to unfortunately finish right now. We'll be covering the tower and Nexus changes. And there's a little bit else, minion health and jungle camps and gromps and all sorts of stuff. So we'll be
By
talking
then, they would have
next
announced
week.
the next patch.
Yeah, that's it. And we'll be talking OCS next week as well. So we'll haven't had a chance to watch all the VODs for that. Make sure this week you're watching OPL. It's good stuff happening. You got to make sure you watch Immunity versus Avant. That's tomorrow. So, which you won't get this podcast till Friday. So yes, go
There are
back in
people watching
time.
the live stream. Spread the word.
That's it. All right. I don't think there's anything else to add. So that's been episode 79 of the OzLoL podcast. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back again next week.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.